Alright, I found this article today, extremely relevant to the videos that I have made recently about the martial arts and branding yourself, creating your own name, your own reputation, and basically not carbon copying other people and claiming other people's hard work and things like that. Alright, so I'm gonna read the article. It says, Instagram lawyers tell owner of anti-litter app to change his name. Danny Lucas is given deadline to confirm he will rename Littergram because it could undermine brand owned by Facebook. Lawyers for Facebook and Instagram have given the British owner of an anti-litter app called Littergram a deadline to confirm that he plans to change his name, he said. Danny Lucas, 49, from Rothen, Kent, last year decided to launch Littergram, which asks users to photograph, share. Well, that's not a part, it's not relevant. The businessman had run into a wrangle with Facebook, which owns the photo sharing service Instagram, which argues that the use of gram in the title could undermine its brand. Facebook also contends that the use of photography and social aspects of the app are too similar to Instagram, which has more than 500 million users. Facebook has described the motivation behind Littergram as admirable and said no steps have been taken to file a lawsuit against Littergram, but that it had an obligation to take reasonable measures to protect its brand. Facebook has said it hopes to reach an agreement with Lucas without going to court. So this is extremely relevant to what I was talking about. You understand that big companies like Facebook, they have billions of dollars to protect their brand. They hired lawyers to shut down people who are jeopardizing the reputation of their brand. And that's exactly what I say is needed in the martial arts that is non-existent. That is non-existent. So when you got people going around saying that they practice Jeet Kune Do, or not practice, but they teach Jeet Kune Do, that's a problem. Or people that go around saying that they teach Wing Chun, that's a problem. Because here you got a brand of which you did not create, but then you're basing your company off of that brand. And then you're damaging the reputation of the original brand owner. So when you got a person who says, okay, there's Bruce Lee who created Jeet Kune Do, and then somebody else says, well, 50 years later, my school's name's the name of my school is Jeet Kune Do, then it's a conflict, and that's exactly what's going on with this. And this is the article that just was published recently, and it confirms how important it is for artists to be original with their creations. Like, you might be talented, but if you are claiming somebody else's creations, then I don't respect that. And that's, to me, unless you have their permission, to use their brand, like Facebook, you work for Facebook and then you promote that company. But you can't be a competitor and then you use their brand to jumpstart your own business. And that's what's happened in the martial arts. That's what people You know, you got labels like Taekwondo, Wing Chun, Jeet Kune Do, Aikido. I mean, these brands, these styles, or these ways have been created by other people, and now you got people who are using those labels, you know, to promote themselves when they didn't create those labels. And that's where the problem is, and that needs to be fixed on an individual level through like a inner realization, because there's not going to be, there'll never be a martial arts school out there as powerful as Facebook, where they can hire lawyers to protect their brand. You know, Bruce Lee's dead. He can't protect his brand of which he created. There's no one there to protect it. So anybody who uses that label, you know, it ends up becoming a corruption, because there's no authority behind, there's nobody protecting that label. Just like the Aikido label, there's nobody protecting that label. The Wing Chun label, there's nobody protecting that label. First of all, these labels were created by individuals from other countries. You know, but Facebook, okay, an American company, and then there's another company outside of Facebook, another country that's trying to take a part of this label to market themselves. They try to take the success of one company so then they could build their own success. You know, and Facebook is saying it's admirable what you guys are doing, but you need to change your name. So you could have been inspired by Bruce Lee, but don't say that what you do is Jeet Kune Do. It's not Jeet Kune Do, it's something else. And call it something else. You know, and that's exactly what Wing Chun did with the Shaolin. You know, Shaolin is the foundation of all the martial arts. The inspiration for all the martial arts. The inspiration for Taekwondo, for Aikido, for Wushu, for Kung Fu. I mean, just for Wing Chun, for Jeet Kune Do. I mean, for everything. It's the inspiration for every single martial art out there. But Wing Chun didn't call her thing Shaolin. She called it Wing Chun, Kung Fu, which is her name, and then Kung Fu. Bruce Lee, Jun Fan Kung Fu. So Bruce Lee's Kung Fu. Or eventually call it Jeet Kune Do. And then everybody is supposed to have their own way in the martial arts, and that's what you promote. But then it gets into sticky territory when you got Wing Chun, who created her way, and then her husband names his way after her, which that's already the false flag right there. I mean, now you have to find ways to prove ownership of a certain label in order to protect it. So who legally had the right to change hands on this label? Like Facebook is not labeled after the founder. It's just Facebook, but the founder of it has ownership of that brand, and when he passes away, he could decide who he's gonna give the next, who's gonna be the next CEO. Same thing that happened with the Apple. You know, Steve Jobs was the CEO, and when he passed away, he gave the rights to Tim Cook. Now Tim Cook is the one who's orchestrating the entire company. Now these companies have billions of dollars to protect their label, and what I'm saying again, that is non-existent in the martial arts. And that what ends up happening is everybody ends up having fair use for all labels. So that's why you see it so common that people say, oh, I practice boxing, I practice kickboxing, I practice Wing Chun, I practice Jeet Kune Do, I practice Aikido, I practice Judo, I practice... They could say whatever they want to say. And because anybody could do that, what automatically happens is it makes everything out there false. The only thing that's true is when you create your own method under your own way, and then that's true. Because your name is on official documentation with the government and everything, and your birth certificate, on your driver's license, your name. So for me, my name, Freddie Lee, okay, this is my name, okay, this is my Kung Fu. So then everybody has their own Kung Fu. So whatever you're learning for whoever, it's their Kung Fu. That's essentially how it's supposed to go. So for example, you got Bruce Lee, who created the Jeet Kune Do label. But essentially, if you're learning from Bruce Lee, that's Bruce Lee's Kung Fu. Now his son, who passed away as well, but if you learn from him, then that's Brandon Lee's Kung Fu. Okay, now if you learn from Shannon Lee, then that's Shannon Lee's Kung Fu. But if Bruce Lee creates the label Jeet Kune Do, and then he passes away without properly giving that ownership to that label onto the next person legally, then that label's dead. So if you learn from Brandon Lee, doesn't mean you're learning Jeet Kune Do, because Brandon Lee was not authorized by Bruce Lee to pass on that art in its purest form. So if you're learning something from Shannon Lee, it doesn't mean it's Jeet Kune Do. The only way that it's real Jeet Kune Do is if the label is properly protected and given ownership to the next succeeding person to expand and propagate this label to continue its existence in a pure form. So there would need to be millions of dollars or people that have a lot of money in order to protect these labels, in order so then the brand is protected and not corrupted. And the truth is, Bruce Lee didn't have time to do that before his death. So his label has died with him. So that label is not protected. But a label that is protected, Instagram, Facebook, for example, these labels are protected. Current labels that were developed that are protected by law, by lawyers, the legal system. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, this is what's necessary in order to understand, in order to keep the martial arts pure. You know, as I stated in the other video, it does not make sense. And this article proves why, of a label like Wing Chun to be created over 400 years ago in another country, and then all of a sudden 400 years later in America the label still exists. People are still claiming that label, and that to me is pure corruption, and it's false. As I stated, the person may be legitimately talented in what he does, but it doesn't give him the right to steal another label and claim it as if it's his own. He needs to create his own label, and then that's what makes him more of a real artist, a true artist. He's not hiding behind somebody's label or stealing somebody else's label to promote his way. You know, so I want people to think about that. We need to put our self-regulation into what we do in the martial arts in order to promote more of a true expression in this world.